It's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and I wanted to dive in a little bit more into lifetime retainer warranty programs. I was listening to a podcast on this. It was all orthodontists, but that's definitely the direction, and I'll get more into that. Actually, I've gotten into that before. If you want to know more about that, just go to my retainer playlist. It's in my YouTube channel. There's an entire playlist just for retainers, and I talk a lot about different in-house lifetime retainer warranty programs, outsourcing it, risks, benefits, stuff like that, how the operations are set up. But always I always mentioned, what's going to happen when you come to sell this? Because people are just starting to do these, and how is that going to affect your sales? So, because unless you structure this really, really well, you're going to get yourself in trouble because you said lifetime. You didn't say 20 years, you didn't say 30 years. Now, of course, there's some people that are dumb. They're doing lifetime retainer warranty programs and they're collecting a giant amount up front. And then anytime they need a new retainer, up to so many, they just get it per year, just stop by and get it. There's other ones that collect a giant amount up front. And then every 6 months when they come in for their check, then they have a new retainer waiting for them. That doesn't work so well with the orthodontic layout because you're not going to be coming in regularly anyways, and you want to have a cap on those retainers. You don't want to have so many. The goal is to have people hopefully not use them. So one suggestion that I've given and they were giving on this podcast was to take a pretty decent chunk, and they were doing like 700 to 900 at debond, which was a nice revenue bump for the office, and then having a copay that at least covers the hard costs. Again, what about inflation? If you said they were doing like $29 to $39, which might be fine now, and that covers your margins right now on your overhead, and they were saying that covers their margins on the resin, the labor, the supplies, not making a profit, but it just covers their costs. But what happens in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Things are going to change. What happens if you sell this office and they don't want to have a 3D printer anymore? I mean, obviously, technology is going to change. What if there's new retainers and really an Essex retainer isn't the best retainer for you, and it's going to be more than $29? This just makes me very, very, very uncomfortable. I definitely like the idea. I don't know. I mean, you never know what's going to happen to you. And let's say you want to sell this to, a DSO or an OSO, and we're going to be making some content on that. I don't think they're going to like that. But then again, if there's a nice copay on it, then this could be a huge asset for selling your practice. See how I've structured this? Instead of taking a big lump sum right at debond, what if you just took a tiny sum just to cover the administration and get you enrolled in the program, which would make people much more willing to do it, and then had a slightly bigger copay when they came in and needed a new one, but bigger as in you're actually making a profit on it and it'll cover you for 20, 30, and then you put a cap on it, 20, 30 years, something like that. I don't know. And then of course there's all the verbiage. What happens if you get a new filling? Of course, that's a new scan. That's a completely different story. What happens if teeth shift? So I feel like it needs to be structured a lot differently just to make it with the eye on less on making profit now, which I feel like is what people are doing, and more on, making sure that you can always get your retainer later. I think it honestly would even be better if there was an entire network of dental offices doing this, which is kind of like the outsourced programs in that, because what if your patient moves somewhere, and they can't come in to get the scan from you? It'd be really nice if they could go someplace else. Now this is turning into SmileDirectClub, or their new 2.0 version, which I forgot they've rebranded a few times, which is basically, this is their business model if you look at it. So, all right, I think I've babbled enough. You guys get an idea of how this works. Just be careful if you're going to integrate this. I don't know how this is going to affect your practice. It's really new, and it sounds nice and shiny right now to get this money up front. But I think unless you structure this just brilliantly, and I haven't fully structured yet. To be honest, I don't want to give all my ideas because I think this is a giant business model, like giant. And I think that some of the startups that are doing it now just aren't quite doing it right. So this is actually a space I kind of want to get into. So I'm just going to toss this out here and see who reaches out to me. Just a heads up, I don't get into businesses on shares anymore. It's got to be money up front. Been screwed too many times. All right, thanks so much.